The following podcast is a presentation of the Pulse Podcasting Network and WrestlingWithWrestling.com.
Hey everyone, I'm very happy to be joined tonight by a couple of Twitter All-Stars, we'll say. We have a three-time returnee to the champ, or to the program I should say, the returning champ. Jimmy, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Not too bad. We're gonna have to do this a couple more times so you can do the five times six-sided podcast guest.
Kind of dicky sucker.
Yeah. And also very happy to be joined on the line tonight. We have Violet joining the program. How are you doing, Violet?
Oh, I'm good.
A trusted stalwart of the Impact Wrestling Army. I often see you on Twitter. You're very active retweeting and engaging with other Impact Wrestling fans. So kind of wanted to get you on the program tonight to talk about some of the new hires from the company. Also who's coming back with the company, and just your guys' overall sense of direction with how things are going with Impact Wrestling tonight. So couldn't have honestly picked almost two better people to have this discussion with, so I want to thank you both for joining me tonight.
Thank you, man.
Thank you for having us.
Okay, so we will kick this off with the big news. The big 3-year contract handed out this past week to Josh Alexander. Find him on Twitter at walking_weapon. Now, if you're not familiar with him, he is a Canadian heavyweight talent and one that I feel is lacking in the pro wrestling, we'll say, menagerie right now. You don't really see a lot of guys that work that mat style wrestling. Although he does a lot of high impact, high risk stuff, but his stuff just looks incredible. And I haven't been super familiar with him. I've been catching up lately ever since the announcement. I've kind of wanted to get my appetite wet before he debuts on Impact Wrestling. So I'm going to throw this to you first, Jimmy. What did you think of the signing? And were you familiar with him before, or did you have to do a little bit of research yourself?
Okay. I'm happy that they signed him because number one, he's from Canada, and number two, I feel that Impact really need to sign some guys because a lot of people are saying that Impact is not signing nobody. It's not signing nobody. AEW is signing anybody, and Impact is not doing nothing. So that whole video of them giving Josh the contract made me happy. I saw Josh at the last time they came to Toronto, and I think he had a match against Killer Cross, and that's a good match.
That was the one that aired on Explosion, I think, right?
Yes, that one.
Yeah, that was a killer match, actually.
Yeah. And I saw him after that. I think he had a match against Sammy Kenneken, and that was a one night only for Impact and Destiny, I believe. And before that, like I didn't even know about him, but I knew that he's a big guy for the Indies. But as you said, nobody really talks about him. Mainly, I don't know. I guess like now, a lot of wrestling fans like these guys are very, very tiny. So I guess the tiny guys are the new hot commodity in our wrestling. But Josh Alexander is very, very talented. He can body slam you. Like he's a big dude, and I know he wrestled for PWG a few times, and he's a big, tough dude. Like very talented. Like I'm happy that they got him. Like I feel like Impact had the best heavyweight division right now. Like, those big guys, not no tiny guys, those big dudes who actually look like champion. You know what I mean?
I have to agree. Violet, because we're Canadians, so we're a little bit biased when a named Canadian gets signed to a company. But for yourself, just if you were familiar with him before or not, and what you thought about the announcement, because I thought it was pretty interesting the way that they went about it.
I'm not really that familiar with him since I'm not from Canada, but since he's been signed, I have heard some good things about him, and I'm happy for anybody they can get that. And my problem is that a lot of people want to complain because they say, "Oh, I've never heard of these guys." Well, what? Well, of course, the only guys a lot of these people have ever heard of are people from WWE. But they're not the only game in town.
Amen.
I completely agree with that, and I want to circle back to that comment in a little bit here because I don't want to get too negative right off the bat. I want to talk about a couple of positive things because I got some a little bit of heat with people in that kind of conversation. So we're gonna swing back to that in a little bit. I also want to talk about a couple of talents from Impact Wrestling previously that are now coming back to the company. I'm not sure if anybody has heard the news that Reno Scum is actually back with the company. You'll note that they were with Impact Wrestling during the failed GFW run. Unfortunately, their run in Impact was cut short. I want to say it was Thorsten sustained a quadricep injury, and it kept them out of action for quite a while, and then their contract just kind of rolled over. But nice to see them returning. Start with you, Violet. Were you familiar with them in their previous incarnation with Impact Wrestling?
Yes, I was. And I was so happy to hear that they were coming back. I mean, they're one of the teams I had been wanting to come back for quite a while because, the tag team division really does need a good core base of some solid teams, and with guys like LAX, Lucha Bros, OVE, Reno Scum, this is going to just really be the real shot in the arm that the tag teams need.
That seems to be kind of the prevailing thought with a lot of Impact Wrestling fans, and to myself included. The tag division, as good as some of the teams are, I really felt like they needed another team to come in, not just pairing guys up like we had with Rich Swann and Willie Mack, for example. To have a legitimate tag team come in and kind of revamp and reshape how that division's run. And Jimmy, I just want to get your thought too. What do you think about Reno Scum coming back in, and what kind of position do you see them playing for Impact Wrestling?
Okay. For me personally, I'm happy that they're back because, as Riley has said, I feel that Impact tag team division has been a bit kind of dead. Like, I mean, dead as like just as in competition. Because the whole year they haven't NX and they haven't cleaned everybody. So now with Renaissance, I feel like you have some new teams, some fresh ideas, some fresh storylines, and I hope that they come back as a hit team. I feel like if Jeff Jarrett didn't fuck up.
There's the key. Hey, if Jeff Jarrett didn't fuck up,
if Mr. Hall of Famer Jeff Jarrett did not get drunk and fuck up what he did JW, we will have a great feud against LAX and Renaissance. or OBE versus Reddish Sun. But Jeff Jarrett got drunk for coffee and ran back home to Ben's. Now he's a producer. But anyways, I'm happy. I'm happy for anybody who can get a shot to be on TV again. You know what I mean? Like, it goes to see people on TV making money, wrestling, and having fun. And I think when it's they are a good fan favorite team. So people will like them. But I hope they come back as heroes, because right now we need some hero teams.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. On the vein of Jeff Jarrett fuck-ups, we also heard the news this past week that Low-Key is coming back to the company. Now, I'm a big Low-Key fan. I think this guy is absolutely fantastic, and I loved his work with the X Division when he... Yeah, you didn't hear that? Well, then I guess it's breaking news for you guys. But, yes, Low-Key will be coming back with the company. You'll note that the last time that he was with the company was, again, with that GFW reign. A little bit of sidebar or backstage action, if you will. The reason he left the company was actually because Cornette came in. And those two, as many people in Cornette do, don't see eye to eye. So, for me personally, I'm
Really? Does anyone see eye to eye with Cornette?
I would say, oh God, maybe Brian Last, his co-host. God damn, they're like, you want to talk about polarizing figures or whatever the fuck, but my God. And truth be told, you know, Jeff Jarrett was there, and he's, you know, what did we see when he was there? He brings in Bruce Pritchard. Wah, wah. He brings in Jim Cornette. Wah, wah. All the, you know, Dutch Mantel, you know, and I'm not, you know, completely disrespecting any of them, but, you know, it was just Jeff bringing in his cronies. That's all it was. And then what did you see suffer talent-wise, right? You saw a team like we just mentioned, Reno Scum. They kind of fall off the wayside. Yes, partly due to injury, but they weren't really used well anyways. Instead, they're pushing fucking VOW. God, what a terrible tag team that was. And then you got in my opinion, an X Division superstar in Low-Key, who at the time was the champ. And then he just left because he couldn't handle it. But we'll start with you, Jimmy. Just if maybe you just heard it right now, what's the first thing that comes to your mind about Low-Key?
A fucking badass. But I like Low-Key. I like him a lot. But this is my issue with Low-Key. He has a bad how to say it.
He's got a bad rap.
Say again?
He's got a bad rap for sure.
Yeah, that's it. He's a great talent. Great talent. The guy did get fucked over because he should have faced Alberto Del Rio for the title on that Impact taping, and he left. I don't know why he left, but that's pissing off. I feel like Low-Key is a good wrestler. Good guy for the exhibition. And I do believe that he should have gotten his chance at the world title. But he left. You know what I mean? So hopefully he shows up, does the match, and doesn't leave.
Yeah, well, I mean, at least this time there's you know, a little bit more palatable people on the creative and management side of it than there was when he was there the last time. Violet, I'm just curious what you think, just in regards to how management now seems to be bringing back these talents who maybe didn't get such a fair shake in previous incarnations and are able to now give them a spotlight.
Well, I really like the current management. In fact, I was at the Hall of Fame ceremony, in New York City in October, and I actually got to meet Scott Demore and Don Callis.
Oh, no way.
And, yeah, and I told both of them how much I appreciated the positive changes made in the company from a fan standpoint, and the, just to continue the good work. I mean, the problem that Impact had in the past was there was management instability. It kept changing all the time, and I'm sure that a lot of the wrestlers probably felt kind of insecure about all of that. And they just weren't sure where the company was going. So, of course, it seemed like at one point, wrestlers were jumping ship like rats on a sinking ship, and I was getting kind of worried. But, I'm really glad that it really seems that we've got a smart and stable, head for the company, and that, now, they are spending money wisely to bring in good guys to build the company around. And as for Loki, I'm really thrilled to have him back. I did think he didn't get a fair shake before. He got royally screwed, and I thought the whole angle with him going to LAX was stupid.
Yeah.
I really thought that was kind of, it was one of those what the fuck kind of moments. I mean, I understand that he does have some Latino heritage, but he just didn't seem like the right fit for them. And it just seemed like they were just trying to push him over here and be like, oh, anyone who has any Latino heritage, let's just try to stick them over here in LAX. It just didn't seem organic. It didn't seem to make any sense. And no, I didn't think that he was used properly. I'm not sure what kind of character they're going to bring him back as, because I did actually kind of like the Hitman kind of way that he was, the way before he went to LAX, that he just would come in, kick ass, no nonsense, very cool. I liked that. I mean, I think some people didn't, but me personally, I thought it was a unique character.
See, I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, Violet. Unique character is definitely something that we've been hitting on with the way that management is shaping and reshaping and reinvigorating this roster. You see a guy like Loki, you're 100% right. With that Hitman character, it's different. It's fresh. Nobody's doing it. And for anybody who is not familiar, I would highly suggest that you throw it in your YouTube machine and give it a look. But he essentially comes out in like a black suit, white shirt, red tie, with black gloves on, just everything that you would picture a mobster hitman is him, right? And he wears the gun holster, suspenders. It's fucking sick. It's such a great look. And his work in the ring is incredible. But yeah, just furthering your point, Violet, I have to agree that bringing in characters that are so different is really a good thing that this company has really, really hit the nail on the head in terms of bringing in talent like that lately.
I totally agree with that. I mean, I did hear some people, on Twitter saying, "Oh, that's just not really good. I don't like it. But I think the people who don't like it just want just like a certain type of character and don't want something different. But, you know, you can't have everyone all being the same. Otherwise, it's going to get really boring really quick.
Just to further that too, Jimmy, and I'm gonna coin your usual or your favorite term, work rate nerds. You can't have a roster full of the same cookie cutter person, character, wrestler, whatever you want to say it. Because look what happens in other companies. Like, look how stale that Ring of Honor got when everything was so focused around the elite guys for how long. Look how stale you're seeing storylines and characters development in WWE, right? Jimmy, obviously you watch WWE a lot more than I do, but just your thought real quick on having a nice we'll say cornucopia of talent to pick from it and watch on Impact Wrestling.
Okay. Good question. Okay, for me, an Impact, I like watching Killer Cross. Killer Cross, foremost, amazing. The way how he moves, the way how he presents himself. It feels like you're watching a movie. Like, Killer Cross does his job very, very good. And I like watching Brian Cage. Like, Brian Cage is a guy that I'll put the title on immediately. He looks like a champion. He talks like a champion. Brian Cage is that guy that reminds me of Hulk Hogan back in the day, or Goldberg back in the day. I like Eli Jake because he can talk, and his matches are good. I like Sandy Cunningham because he's a hero. He can talk, he can wrestle, and he doing a great job as a hero. Sandy Cunningham, he putting people over. You know, he loses most of his matches, but he putting the right base faces over. They have so many good things at Impact. Got Tessa Blanchard. Got my favorite, Sorry Bordeaux.
Yeah, and there's a gimmick that's quite a bit outside the norm of conventional wrestling today.
I love Becky.
No, you love Bloody Becky. That's different.
I love Becky, but saw it. I'm telling you, I'm convinced there are guys out there that probably watch Impact every Friday night on the TV or on Twitch, and they probably jerk it off when Charlie comes up.
Well, I am sure you are right about that, Jimmy.
Charlie is fine as fuck. Like, Killer Cross is a lucky guy. Apparently,
You know what? And I think Scarlett is lucky to have Killer Cross, because as the you feel about Scarlett Bordeaux, I feel that way about Killer Cross. I think I love his character, and I love his voice, and I love how he can work, and something sexy about how he can just have that calm crazy about him. Oh my God. So, you know what? There's there are plenty of us ladies out there watching Impact these days, and I hope that they do realize that. That way, that's the only thing I don't like about the fact that I read an interview with Scott D'Amore about the decision to go to Pursuit, because he's like, oh, well, mostly guys watch wrestling, and so we're going to a guy network, and it's like, well, in all reality, most people probably aren't even watching on Pursuit. Most people are watching on Twitch anyway.
Exactly.
Sorry, Jimmy, I don't want to cut you off. Violet, I love that point that you brought up about them maybe neglecting that part of the demographic. I think that they should completely flip that around and really start to celebrate that essentially group of viewers that watch the program. Like, there's, I see yourself, I see just a ton of females who enjoy the product tweeting constantly about it, and like in a positive way, right? So, and
absolutely.
So
and that way we do actually have our hashtag Girls Who Watch Impact. I use it all the time, and so do some of the other Girls Who Watch Impact. We've been using it for the past couple weeks, and the more we use that hashtag, the more people will see that it's not all guys.
You always see the meme of, like, the fat guy in his mom's basement. He's got a neck beard and all that shit. Like, that right there is what this company should really be trying to get away with. They should really be trying to be inclusive. And, like, what better way? What is it? 51% of the population is female. So, like, goddamn, right? Why would you almost shoot yourself in the foot not capitalizing on that? But I'm glad you brought that up. I feel like that's one of those. I feel like on Twitter, and maybe just this is what I see, because I follow goddamn how many thousand people, but I always see a lot of female wrestling fans who are kind of, I don't know, ostracized almost for being a fan.
I haven't actually experienced that.
You have or have not? Sorry.
I have not. I have not experienced that at recently. No, not for. But then again, I mostly talk to Impact fans, indie wrestling fans. I really don't talk to very many people who are exclusive WWE fans, because I have not followed that product in a long time. And as a woman who has watched wrestling, let me say, for many years, I mean, back, Ric Flair was the first one I started watching back in the 80s. Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan. We had an indie. I used to live in Kentucky. We had, that's when I first heard of Jeff Jarrett, was back then. And I actually liked him when he was a young kid wrestling, before y'all even knew about him in WWE. I had been already watching him for 10 years on the indies.
Wow.
Because you would have got that. You would have got all the Memphis programming that I would assume at that point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, because and I lived in Louisville. They were coming up to Louisville all the time, and so it's like his Double J character in WWE. I was just kind of like, and then after that, now I was actually excited at first with him, running Impact, but then I saw what he's done. Oh, and all the shit with this current lawsuit. I'm angry. I'm disappointed. I have such a mix of emotions regarding the whole situation.
And it's funny because
you can see why.
Yeah, well, yeah. I had a conversation with Robert from Robert Does Wrestling. I want to say 4 months ago. Maybe it wasn't that long. I kind of lose track of time, unfortunately. But we had talked about that exact thing, where it was, when Jeff Jarrett was going through his problems with alcoholism, and then the Hardys were getting on him on social media, and how that whole thing unfortunately feeds on itself, and you feel bad for Jeff Jarrett, the person, for going through whatever, but then the flip side of that, Jeff Jarrett, the businessman, trying to sue for, and I read the article today that his lawsuit was for $5 million because he thinks that that's what the GFW tapes were worth, which I guarantee you they didn't sell one copy of that.
I read the same article.
Yeah.
I read the same article.
Okay, great. So,
I laughed.
yeah,
That is ridiculous.
And actually,
$5 million?
yeah, he's suing for it's the cost of the tapes or the production of the tapes or whatever is like $300,000 an episode, so times I think it's 12 episodes, and then like the remainder 4.54 or 3.54 or 4.54 million or whatever is like his damages that he thinks that GFW was supposed to be worth or something like that. It's such a ridiculous claim, and actually I had done a story on this or an episode on this a few months ago as well, when Impact Wrestling had responded to Jeff Jarrett's lawsuit, and it highlights in very great detail that he signed over all of this product. He signed over the rights to the name Jeff Jarrett to Impact Wrestling. He signed over all of his intellectual property. So the fact that he's just continues this whole lawsuit thing is just... you try so hard to like somebody, and you try so hard to give them a benefit of a doubt, but a fucking carny's a carny is a carny is a carny. Like, that's all it really seems to be.
It's true. I feel the same way. I felt bad for a while, but he's just making himself look more and more ridiculous as he keeps going into this lawsuit, and I am proud that I stopped myself. I was going to tweet that article, but I'm like, no, I am not giving that man 1 second more of fame. He's had more than his 15 minutes, and he's being ridiculous. He should just retire already.
So hold on.
Oh, okay, here we go.
Okay, City County Judge of it is trying to Atom for $5 million.
Mm-hmm.
It's an amendment to his original lawsuit. So you remember last year he filed the lawsuit, right? So
and then he got denied.
It was denied.
No?
Now this, it was denied, and then this is an amendment to that lawsuit. But even his filing, this current filing, doesn't make any sense, because he's suing them for these monetary damages, and he's also suing them to get the name, usage, and likeness of Jeff Jarrett back from Impact Wrestling. But
for what though?
He's because I don't know. Because without that, he can't market himself as Jeff Jarrett, whatever incarnation he wants to do for whatever incarnation GFE, I think he's calling it now, would be. It's just the whole thing is a fucking crock. Like, anybody who would, like, I wasted 5 minutes of my life reading that article. I was like, what the fuck is this? Like,
I did too, man. Don't feel bad.
And
I wasted 5 minutes of my life on that shit too, and it's like, he just needs to stop. He is just making himself look worse and worse.
The man is a freaking producer. Why did he need Theodore for what? For what? Come on, man. That's a full cup.
Yep.
Well, I guess he ran out of that WWE Legends deal money faster than he anticipated, I suppose, is what it all boils down to. But while I got you guys both fired up, let's. I said we were going to talk about a part of this that Violet had brought up earlier in the program. I think this is a perfect time. Well, we're all revved up now. We've been throwing the heat around, so let's dig into this one. So we've been talking about the signings that Impact Wrestling has made recently. Of note as well, I wanted to mention quickly, they announced the long-term extensions for Falaba and Sami Callihan. and KM, I assume, is going to have his contract extended as well. Eddie Edwards is one as well, extended long term, and Eli Drake, as far as I'm aware, is going to be extending his contract long term. So, Violet, you were talking about Impact Wrestling spending money wisely. They're now investing money in these talents that they realistically need to keep around. Now,
exactly.
So we saw the signing this past week, and almost immediately, and I got into this a little bit on Twitter, and Jimmy, I think you were part of this conversation. I got into a spirited conversation with a couple of people who right away get on the Impact needs to sign big names stance. And you guys can't tell right now, but I'm throwing up quotation marks, right? Because right away everybody says, and like you said, Violet, who is this? Because, not everybody's going to know who somebody is coming right away. But there's a small vocal contingent of fans who, every time there's a signing or every time somebody's re-signed, this small group of fans, right away the first thing is, when are they going to sign a big name? Now, Violet, I will throw this to you first. What do you like? Is it just me, or if they just go out and quote unquote sign big names, would that just not make them, the failure WCW of the late '90s into early 2000s that we saw?
I agree with that. I actually made a tweet a few days ago saying, WWE fans, why doesn't Impact sign big names? Also, WWE fans, Impact only signs WWE's leftovers.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And because, honestly, if they can't, and I don't really consider the people who you're referring to even as fans, really. They're not the true fans. And they are only a small percentage these days that all they consider as big names is someone from WWE. They need, there's a lot of big names on the indies. I watch the indies, and stuff even more now. And, there's much greater of a platform because you can find, indie, footage all over YouTube and, and catch shows that come to your towns, but back to what we were talking about, I really think that Impact is being smart in that they are grooming homegrown talent and making their own personality for their company, not copying WWE, because if they did, all they're going to do is end up either failing or getting bought out by Vince McMahon.
Amen.
Jimmy, I want to get your thoughts on just the perception, and you and I had actually talked about this a little bit off the air. In regard, we were talking about AEW and who they're signing, and it's funny. I feel like the perception between companies who Impact signs is, and I'm using quotation marks again, not big talent. AEW will turn around and sign somebody, and your favorite work rate nerds are all over it online. Jimmy, just your thoughts on what would you classify a big name? What is a big name in today's wrestling market?
Okay, a big name could be anything. Because, for example, I can know somebody from Toronto who's a big independent guy, and he could be the king of Toronto in wrestling, but if it's an Impact, I'm going to be happy. So it depends on what do you define as a big name? Do you define a big name as a guy who is on TV, or a guy who is traveling country, continent wrestling, right? It's different. Like wrestling now is not just based on TV, right? It's based on internet. It's based on how people talk to each other, right? So, for example, Killer Cross, right? Killer Cross is a guy who had been wrestling for years, but I didn't know. But I didn't know about him. But I know people who tell me, "Yo, Killer Cross is the next big guy wrestling." Now, King Cross come to Impact. Everybody talk about Killer Cross. You know what I mean? So it depends. It depends on like what do you define as a big name? Because a big name could be anything. For example, Jericho is a big name, but he decides what's a big name before he signed to Japan and WWE. You know what I mean? So it does depend on like what do you classify as a big name? Is it somebody who is with a big company or somebody who are meaning name on their own? So I don't know. It depends. Like I don't know. It depends. Like that's a hard question for me to answer you. Right? Like I feel like with Josh Alexander, he's a big name if you know indie. If you don't know indie, he might be nobody. But in the next 5 months, I guarantee you, everybody is going to talk about Josh Alexander. Trust me. The same way how we talk about Ian Jake, EC3, and other names who signed Impact, and now it's with WWE or Silver Impact, right? Like you got EC3. He was a nobody in NXT. When he's 17, he's a big guy, former champion. Now he went back to WWE. He's nobody. You know what I mean? So it depends. Like look at Brian Lashley. He's a WWE guy, but when he came to Impact, he was a bigger guy, more popular and more known. So it depends on like on what you define as a big guy. You know what I mean? Like a big name could be anybody, but it depends on where they live and how many people know him. Like you said, like you have guys on AEW who I don't know, but they are big guys to people that know him. But for example, like Jungle Boy, who the fucking Jungle Boy? Like AEW fans are annoying because they are making AEW seem like they name WCW. Like I can't name 2 guys on that company roster other than Jericho and Omega, King Omega. Yeah, I know Cody, I know the Bucks, I know Pentagon, I know Phoenix, but those guys I know them from Impact or Japan or Honor. But I mean the actual guys who have me in the name, like I don't know who is Jungle Boy, Joey Janela. I know him for one match, but he's nobody. What's the name? Alan Cole girlfriend.
Oh, Britt Baker.
Who the fuck is Britt?
Baker is. She was the wrestler, and she had the IWC title for quite some time.
Yeah.
See, I told you, I follow the indies.
Yeah, and she's a dentist. That I know. If you ask me who is Britt Baker, I would say she's a dentist, and she Alan Cole girlfriend. I don't know her for her wrestling videos. So if I don't know you for your wrestling videos, then they're not a big name. So
exactly. To you, she's not a big name. To me, she is. I watched her in title matches, so you just made your point.
See?
And I feel like everybody wants, the next Rock, right? Or everybody's waiting for the next Stone Cold, or everybody's waiting for it. And a lot of people don't realize that like The Rock didn't just wake up in '99 and was like, "Do you smell what The Rock is cooking?" and was over, right? He had such a build from '96 to '99 to when he was hot. the only reason you can start
Yep.
a build with people like that is if you have quality talent who are willing to put the effort into their character, and you can capitalize on them. I 100% agree with you guys with your assessment of Killer Cross, because I think that, and I'm not going to compare him to he's going to be the next blank. Killer Cross is going to be the Killer Cross, right? He's so different than anything else, and you can tell the way that he carries himself, his mannerisms in the ring, his promo, just he exudes so much confidence and so much believability in himself and his character. That's what's going to make him a star. And I feel like if you're going to sorry, Jimmy, go ahead.
So Taxman, I don't know if you saw the
Hello?
Try that one again, Jimmy. I think we lost you for a second.
Okay, hear me now?
Yeah, you're good. And we lost him again, I think.
Hi. You got me?
I hope so.
You better do. For that company, tried to sign Killer Cross on the same day he made his impact. He did sign.
Oh, Jimmy's coming.
Yeah, we keep losing Jimmy. I know what he's getting at. He's talking about when Killer Cross made his debut for Impact in WWE, tried to make them the offer. Robert and myself touched on that. Yeah. To me, it's just. So what does that tell you about him? You know what I mean?
It tell you this: if he's signing WWE, everybody.
Yeah, everybody would be all about him. We keep seeming to be losing Jimmy.
But you know what? They would mess up his character. See, the other side of it is creative. And WWE is creative, has sucked ass for years. I mean, it's just stale. You know, and yet, I just don't even... But you guys were talking about the elite. You know, it's so stupid that it's like as soon as AEW announced their existence, you had so many people instantly sucking their dicks, going, "Oh my God, they're the best things since sliced bread, and they're gonna be the next big thing against WWE," and I'm like,
How?
out, and what's Impact? Chopped liver? I guess so, to a lot of these people. I don't know, it just seems like to a lot of people, Impact can just do no right. It's like, they will hate Impact no matter what they do. It's like, AEW, these people just loved them right from the start, and it's like, what have they done? What have they really done? Not a damn thing. So, that being said, you know, that if Impact came along doing the exact same thing AEW is doing, you know damn well the same people would be shitting on them right and left.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do agree.
Just because I mean, has Impact or TNA, when they made most of their mistakes, they were TNA. They have made mistakes in the past. Who doesn't? Just, I mean, come on. We've had our current management for over a year now, and they have been really building rebuilding Impact as a solid company.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The proof of that for me is their Twitch numbers. And I know that everybody's going to, you know, but they only do, whatever, 10,000 on a Friday on Twitch, which, by the way, puts them about at the tops of Twitch streaming on a Friday at that time. There's nobody even close. But you can see their viewership week on week is growing. You see that their subscribers or followers or however, whatever the term is on Twitch, and I've just started on there myself, so I'm not entirely familiar with it. But every week it's building and building. I remember when the announcement started, they were at, I want to say, 25,000 followers. The week of the launch on Twitch, they were up to 55,000. I checked it the other month. They were well over 80,000. I'm not sure where it is currently, but yeah, just you can see the build, right? And everybody forgets that, you know, you can't change a wrestling company around overnight, right? You're gonna have growing pains. Wrestling is very glacial in that change happens, you know, not that year. Change you're going to see happening in 2 or 3 years of consistently putting out solid products. So all this groundwork that they're laying right now, with having guys like Killer Cross, Brian Cage, Lucha Brothers, LAX, etc., talents and individuals and people that you want to be invested in and watch on a week-to-week basis. When you see them consistently delivering week to week, you're going to tell somebody who's going to check it out and tell somebody who's going to check it out and tell somebody, and this thing snowballs.
Exactly.
Remember, like, the new management, they're fixing the past 10 years of mistakes that DC Carter made. And DC tried her best to impact on TNA, that she tried her best to impact. But a lot of people can impact for the money because the money was good. So when people say, "Oh, Impact has the money," look at the past. Look at the talent that they signed in the past. That they have money. That's saying that Impact was wasting our money on talents that they killed about the company. They just came from the money, right? And then when Del J came back, he came back for the money. And then he tried to add GLW into, right? Because of money. So I feel like right now the new management are fixing up the mistakes of the past management team, right? So you're fixing up basically two regimes, and that will take time, right? And then it's hard to bring back a fan base that is so biased, dumb, and have no common sense, education, and too much of the geeks think that they know wrestling. They know wrestling like these fight.
Oh, and Jimmy cuts a promo and we lose him again. Yeah, we keep losing Jimmy. This is awful.
These teams.
See, he can't even get his words out. His phone or whatever knows that he's going to just destroy somebody and he can't even get it out. Oh, that's par for the course with podcasting, folks. Something always happens. See, we lose him again.
But yeah, I agree with, until we get Jimmy back, I agree with what he's saying about the guys that the guys we have right now. Really, we got some guys that are amazing talents and can deliver on the mic. I mean, guys like, Cage and Killer Cross. Eli Drake, is, in my opinion, the next Ric Flair.
Yeah.
At least the way he works the mic.
Yep.
He's the real deal.
Yeah, he is the real deal. In terms of, like we've all been saying, right? It's marketable talent that people want to watch, and it's given them a platform that they can perform consistently on it. And I really feel like they have the tools, obviously the finances, as you can see now, and the management team in place to kind of clear the way and make some good things happen, I should say, in 2019 and moving forward. So just to wrap up things a little bit tonight, obviously we're looking forward to a nice card of matches this coming week, but we also are also going to be looking forward to the United We Stand pay-per-view event coming up, as well as Slammiversary was also announced a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So exciting times for Impact Wrestling fans. Violet, for yourself, what are you most looking forward to with the company in the next few months at least, and then moving forward towards Slammiversary?
Well, of course, I'm looking forward to United We Stand. I have my tickets. I'm going down to see that.
Oh, no way.
And I already had the tickets before it became a pay-per-view.
That's so awesome.
I'm like, I know this is going to... I was planning on going down for a WrestleCon, and I'm actually going the night before to see the other show there in New Jersey. It's funny, Does Funny Equal Money, and Demon Bunny is going to be there, followed on KM, so there's some guys that, I'm really looking forward to seeing, like I said, I love to catch indie shows, not just Impact, not just big name. And so I am so looking forward to, everything about United We Stand. I don't really know much about what's going on for Slammiversary, but I'm sure it is going to kick ass.
Guaranteed. Jimmy, how about yourself? What are you looking forward to in the next few weeks or months of programming?
Oh man,
and don't just say Scarlet Bordeaux. We all know you're looking forward to the goddamn Scarlet Bordeaux.
Nah.
See, look, we keep losing Jimmy. Apparently, it's just not meant to be. Jimmy's having technical difficulties. Has nothing to do with... no, there's no fancy mic work happening on my end, that's for sure. But, Jimmy, maybe we have you for a quick goodbye? Who knows? And he's all freezing up. God damn it, who knows what's going on? Yeah, I see his mouth moving, and ain't no words coming out of that, so... I will take this opportunity. I will say thank you very much, Jimmy, for making yourself a 3-time guest of the program. And Violet, after United We Stand, I would love to have you on the program to talk about your experience at that show, if you are game for it.
Oh, I am.
Okay, perfect. So until we connect then, Violet, where can they find you on social media?
Well, you've got me on Twitter, Violet's Varieties, and on Instagram. I'm also Violet's Varieties. I posted a lot of pictures on Instagram of the indie. I'm sorry, I just went to an indie show on Sunday, and I'm still high from that. Beyond wrestling, I tell you, check out Indie Wrestling TV. They have got some good stuff on there. Or it's, check out as many different, companies as you can, because you never know where the next big name is coming from.
Yep.
All right, so, and Jimmy, obviously I'm sure most of our listeners know where they can find you, but just one more time, where can they find you?
You can find me on
See him, we lose him again. This is actually infuriating. So you can find Jimmy on Twitter at Jimmy and Dig. I will have both of your Twitter handles attached to the first set of tweets that comes out in regards to this podcast. Violet and Jimmy, thank you so much for joining the program tonight.
Well, thanks for having me, and I'll come back anytime you like. I've enjoyed being here.
Hey, I will definitely get you on after United We Stand. And Jimmy, I can see you're both moving again, but I can't hear no words coming out. So, with that said, I will say thank you both for joining the program tonight. Boom.
Thank you.